Patients looking for trauma treatment today are met with a wall of acronyms: EMDR, DBR, SE, IFS. It is an alphabet soup of modalities, and navigating it can be entirely overwhelming. Look closely at these methods, and the surface-level techniques seem wildly different. One therapist slowly waves a pointer in front of your eyes. Another asks you to track microtensions in the back of your neck. Another uses tapping to create bilateral stimulation. For someone already suffering, this creates a new kind of paralysis. There is a persistent fear that choosing the wrong brand of therapy means you will never get better. But the tribalism and intense focus on specific techniques is a distraction. Beneath the competing brands and specialized tools, the clinical data reveals a hidden biological consensus. Strip away the proprietary names, and you find that all successful trauma therapies pull the exact same physiological levers. Researchers have identified 7 common factors that organize polyvagal-informed care. These are the non-negotiable prerequisites for the nervous system to heal. Understanding these 7 factors anchors treatment in biology. Clinical work shifts toward a predictable construction project built on observable physiological needs. The foundational rule of polyvagal theory is that state dictates story. You cannot logic a nervous system out of danger because higher-level cognitive operations are physically constrained by the body's estimate of safety. This brings us to the first 2 common factors: safety and co-regulation. The therapist's physical presence acts as an active biological intervention. Their vocal tone, their pacing, and their steady eye contact provide the cues that allow a hypervigilant nervous system to drop its defenses. In this context, clinical safety is a strict physiological requirement. Without it, active trauma processing cannot survive in the room. Once that container is built, the work moves to gathering data. Before a patient can dismantle their trauma, they have to accurately map it. Third is neuroception, the nervous system's subconscious threat radar. It trips survival alarms before the conscious brain forms a thought. Fourth is body awareness. Patients intercept these alarms by noticing real-time physical shifts, like muscle tension or breath changes. This is very different from traditional talk therapy. Merely narrating a difficult memory from the past, while physically detached from the body, often does little to reorganize the nervous system. A patient has to be able to track their biological shifts in real time without instantly dissociating. Until that skill is built, repairing the underlying damage is nearly impossible. When therapies finally begin to directly poke at trapped traumatic memories, a critical question arises. Why doesn't the patient's system simply overload and spiral into a massive panic attack? The answer lies in the 5th factor: titration. This is the deliberate practice of dosing the difficult trauma in tiny, manageable physiological drops, rather than one massive flood. This chart illustrates pendulation. The sine wave moves rhythmically between the green resource state and brown trauma activation. By touching the trauma briefly, then pulling back to grounded safety, this rhythm prevents re-traumatization and allows the nervous system to safely discharge bound energy. Whether a clinician is using the eye positions of brain spotting, the bilateral stimulation of EMDR, or the bodily tracking of somatic experiencing, they are relying entirely on this exact oscillation to do the heavy lifting. The body digests traumatic overwhelm exclusively through this controlled, rhythmic pacing. Intense catharsis and flooding do not cure the system, they simply overload it again. There is a persistent public misconception that the goal of trauma therapy is to permanently erase fear, anger, or stress, leaving the patient in a constant state of zen. That is biologically impossible. The true endpoint of a healed nervous system is the 7th and final factor: autonomic flexibility. Flexibility is the capacity to rapidly mobilize into defense when true danger is present, and then smoothly downshift and re-access calm connection the moment that danger has passed. Healing is not the absence of stress. It is the restoration of a wider, resilient range of physiological motion. Through the lens of these 7 factors, mental health symptoms look completely different. We see a brilliant survival adaptation, one that simply got stuck in a recursive loop. By understanding these biological levers, patients can stop treating their nervous system like an adversary that needs to be thought and begin treating it as a partner they can cooperate with. This cooperation eventually frees the body's orienting reflex. Instead of being hijacked, endlessly scanning the present for hidden threats from the past, the system can finally look forward. Mastering this source code re-vectors the nervous system. The individual can finally turn around, physically orienting toward a meaningful, forward-moving life.